We acknowledge and respect the traditional custodians whose ancestral lands we are meeting upon here today. We acknowledge the deep feelings of attachment and relationships of Aboriginal peoples to country. We also pay respect to the cultural authority of Aboriginal people visiting or attending from other areas of South Australia and Australia present here. And I think now, Tisha, I might hand straight over to you. So we've got Tisha Richmond from Canva joining us again, and I will stop presenting and hand over.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. It is always a joy. Please let me know if you are not seeing the title screen. Are we okay, Abigail?
We're all good? Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for joining today. I am Tisha Richmond, and I am a Canva learning consultant. And I've been a Canva learning consultant for about 1.5 years, but I have been using Canva since 2014. I fell in love with the platform then, and it just keeps getting better and better. So I absolutely love to share how Canva can be brought into education, because it can be brought in multiple ways, really infinite ways, and it's so powerful for student learning. In addition to being a Canva learning consultant, I have been an educator for over 20 years. I spent approximately 20 years in the career and technical education classroom, teaching 9th through 12th grade students here in the US. I live in Medford, Oregon, so on the west coast of the US. And I also, in my district role, have been a student engagement and professional development specialist. So from culinary teacher, teaching career and technical ed, to tech integration specialist, to student engagement and PD specialist. And I support 20 schools in that role. So I kind of do a 50-50 split with Canva and my district. And I also love to create content for the Canva for Education library, and I wrote the book Make Learning Magical, which was published in 2018, and it's very much in line with why I love Canva so much. I love to bring joy into learning. I love to find ways to empower our students to truly make our classrooms a magical learning environment for all students. You can always connect with me. You will get all of this this presentation and additional resources following the session. And so if you ever want to reach out to me, please do. I'm always happy to connect and answer any questions that you may have. So I'm going to ask you, what is your Canva comfort level? And I think Abigail might be starting a poll here. And so in the poll, you can share where you are on the spectrum. So being someone who maybe is very, very brand new, all the way to, I can give a presentation on this, I know it really well. Please share where you fall in that spectrum.
We just give people 1 more minute to respond.
Oh, I love seeing the statistics like this. This is great.
I thought it might be more useful this time.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love this. I love this. And sorry, I think this slide was changed up a little bit, so I'm sorry that the words don't match exactly, but you all get the idea. So this is fantastic. So we have a lot of people, 45% that are somewhat familiar, 31%, 30% that are familiar, 17% that is using daily for myself. So that's fantastic. I love that you are finding ways to use Canva. And so this is a perfect place, because we don't have anyone yet using daily for students. And so we're going to share ways that you can bring it into the classroom, if not daily, maybe weekly, ways to use Canva in all different types of learning scenarios. And so really excited to share the possibilities with you today. Thanks again, Abigail, for setting that poll up. That's fantastic to see the numbers there. So we are going to spend our time together really briefly going over what is Canva for Education, because I've shared that in previous sessions. I just wanted to make sure I catch anybody who has never heard of Canva for Education before or hasn't been in the platform. We're going to spend most of our time together in the student learner journey and talking about how you can bring Canva for Education into your classroom and get students creating and collaborating. Within that sharing, we are going to do some hands-on learning. So it's kind of going to be kind of spread out throughout our session today. And I'm going to get you into a whiteboard so that you're able to collaborate and see how whiteboards work in action, and really so many ways that you can use whiteboards in the classroom for collaboration. And then we will close with some Q&A. So for those of you who don't yet know what Canva for Education is, it is a visual work suite. There are many different doc types in the Canva platform that you can use to create and to collaborate, like docs, presentations, videos, infographics, social media graphics, videos, websites. The possibilities are really endless. And Canva believes that education is a human right, and they want to empower the world to design and to create. And one of the things that I really appreciate about Canva is that Canva for Education looks just like the platform that corporations, businesses, nonprofit organizations use. And so the skills that students are learning when they are in Canva for Education in your classroom is going to transcend that K-12 landscape. So when they go out into the workforce, they are going to be familiar with this platform that many companies and businesses are using. Amazon uses Canva. Walt Disney uses Canva, and so many more. And so I think that that's a really important piece, is that this platform is one that students are going to see outside of the school system. They're also learning how to communicate, how to create, how to collaborate, how to be lifelong learners, how to be entrepreneurs, how to be flexible. And those skills, again, are going to be taken with students, not only throughout their educational experience, but beyond as well. So we are going to start right off with an icebreaker. And this icebreaker, you're going to be brought into a whiteboard. And Abigail, I believe, is going to share that in the chat. I think we have less than, are we under 50? Perfect.
Yeah,
so
we're 30 at the moment. So.
Okay, fantastic. So we are going to use, we'll use the first link that I shared, and I'm actually going to go back home and bring it up here. And what you're going to see when you get dropped into that link is, I can see people dropping in right now. You're going to be brought into this infinite space. You're going to see that there's no borders to this space. You can go in lots of different directions. And what I am going to have you all do is, I want you to think of a smell, an image, maybe a sound that is very nostalgic to you. Maybe it brings you back to a very memorable time in your childhood, maybe a memorable time in your life. It doesn't have to be childhood. And the way that I want you to engage in this icebreaker is, I'm going to have you go up to the sidebar over here, the top sidebar where you see elements. And when you click on elements and you click in that search bar, I want you to search for something. So something can't come to mind. You see a picture here of a breakfast. So maybe it's breakfast that brings nostalgia to you. Maybe it is when you smell lavender. I had a grandma that had lavender in her yard growing up. And so that lavender is something that brings nostalgia to me. So when I find that lavender, I'm simply going to click on it, and I can bring it right into this collaborative space. So I am going to set the timer at the bottom of my whiteboard. And I'm going to set this timer for, I'm going to give a minute, and we'll see how we do. And while you are, while that timer is going, I'm going to have you find those pictures that bring nostalgia to you. Everybody is already starting. I love it. And it can be a smell, an image, or a sound. It can be any of those things. Oh, I love, these are very interesting pictures. I have so many questions. I want to dive into what about these pictures bring nostalgia to you. This is amazing. Fantastic. And you're going to notice as everybody is navigating around their whiteboard, we're seeing your full name and we're seeing different colors. And so this makes it really helpful for you as a teacher because you're able to see where everybody is and what they're doing. And it makes it easy to kind of detect what's happening. Give you a few more minutes here. I see people are still adding too. What I love about this as well is that you can always add minutes to it as well. So if I decided, you know what, I want to add an extra minute, I can go ahead and add an extra minute. And I'm just going to give a little more time because I see people still moving and adding pictures. And if you are done adding your picture, I'm going to have you go back to Elements. And I want you to notice in Elements that we have sticky notes here in a whiteboard, and we also have some whiteboard graphics. So if you want to give maybe a heart, a star, maybe you have a question about what somebody added, you can go ahead and grab a whiteboard graphic and you can add that to maybe the corner of what somebody added to the board. I like to do this when I do whiteboard activities. I like to give time to add to the board, and then I like to give time for people to maybe read comments, reflect, and then be able to add those whiteboard graphics to it. Fantastic. If we had more time, I would love to have everybody share why they added what they added, because I think it's really, really fascinating to see the array of different images that are added to the board. But you can see how something like this could be a great icebreaker in a class. You could ask lots of different questions, but it's a great way to get to know your students. It's a great way to start conversation. And it's a great way just to engage in general. And so in today's session, I'm going to talk a lot about different ways that we are going to be able to bring similar things into education, and whiteboards are a great way to do it. You're also going to notice that I have a couple more pages to this link that I shared with you. And so we will be going into the other pages throughout the presentation. So keep this link handy, maybe have it on a dual screen or maybe have it on your browser as another tab. So when we get to another point in the presentation to collaborate, you're going to be able to get there easily.
Tisha, I've just got one question that's come up.
Yes.
So Rebecca says she's on her smartphone and she's not sure how to contribute. Can you contribute to the whiteboard from a phone, or is it just in a browser?
I think you can from a phone. I just think it's a little bit more difficult. And I wish I had my phone up and I could show you exactly how to navigate it. I know that you can use your phone to be able to collaborate in lots of different designs. I don't know that I've actually tried it with the whiteboard, but I believe you can. It just functions slightly different than being on a computer.
If you figure it out, Rebecca, please let us know, and then that will solve that one for everyone.
Yes, absolutely. That would be great. So we're going to jump into the student learner journey in Canva. And I hope that through sharing ideas that you're going to start connecting some dots of what you're currently doing in your classroom and how maybe you can bring that into Canva and maybe create a lesson that is similar, but maybe adds more creativity and more collaboration to what you've always done. So we are going to be showing you how to capture student learning through the power of Canva. And we're going to start with how Canva can be used to support executive functioning. So when we think about students in the classroom, we think about how we can help them with things such as goal setting. Maybe we want to have students manage their own goals, help them keep themselves accountable. And there are lots and lots of goal setting templates in Canva, and they can actually keep them in a digital notebook. So if you go to the template library and look for digital notebooks, you can create a design with a digital notebook, and then you can add maybe these goal setting and different executive functioning templates to that notebook, and students are able to kind of track their progress and track different things such as maybe their daily, maybe a planner, maybe they create a digital notebook with planning pages. I know that for myself, whenever I go to a store at the beginning of a year and I'm looking for a planner, I have a really hard time because not every planner fits my lifestyle or fits the way my brain thinks. And so what's great about Canva is you can go in and you can customize a planner to really meet your needs and your schedule. And you can add special graphics and colors, and you can really design it and personalize it exactly like you want. And so think about that, how we can help our students stay organized and really help promote that student responsibility and communication, but allow them to do it in a way that meets their needs and fits them. And I think that's a really a valuable skill that we can teach our students. And you will find lots of student planner templates in Canva that they can have a starting point. So they can take something that's similar to what they want, and then they can customize it and make it their own. I love the idea of having a habit tracker too. It's also a great way for students to be able to practice executive functioning skills and really support those students who really struggle with that. And this is, again, something that maybe they could put in their digital notebook, maybe have it alongside their planning pages. I know for myself, last month, I had a 20-day streak of exercising 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And I was so proud of myself. And having a way for me to track that was really, really helpful in keeping me on track. And so helping students achieve those goals and be able to create those routines and establish habits that are positive, I think is a really beneficial thing that we can help our students with. I also love the idea of a vision board, and this would be great really at the beginning of a school year or the end. So you think about the beginning of a school year and having students really kind of set their goals and their aspirations and be able to lay it out in this kind of vision board format. It also would be really powerful as a teacher to have an activity like this, because now you're getting to know your students a little better, the things that they are aspiring for, and then you can help them better achieve those things. And really, you could do this at any grade level. And what's fun is you're going to find vision board templates in the Canva library, and then students can customize them and make them exactly the way that they want them. And so another great way to be able to support executive functioning. And so as you're thinking about maybe your next term or whenever that would make sense in your school year, a vision board is a great thing to be able to do. So I'm going to stop at each of these sections, and I'm going to bring you back to your whiteboard, and you'll see on that second page, you have a spot to be able to add some ideas of how you can spark learning in that particular category in Canva. And so when you go into your elements, again, you're going to notice that there are sticky notes right here. When you grab a sticky note, and so I'm just going to click on it, it's going to bring it right into this board. And now I can write my text right in this note. And so you're going to be able to add maybe an idea you have, a thought you have, or it might be a question that you have. And you're going to notice also that at the bottom of that sticky note, it shows my name. And so it's really helpful as a teacher to be able to know who is asking or who is writing that idea, so that you can refer back and be able to follow up with other additional questions or be able to comment and give feedback. So I'm going to
Tisha, sorry, just before we get into this, we do have a question from Marissa about how you might invite students to collaborate. Are you able to go through that before we set the timer and collaborate?
100%. Thank you so much, Marissa, for asking that question. So you can see I'm in the whiteboard right now, and up on the top right-hand corner, there is a share button. When I click share, you're going to see that underneath collaboration link, I have some choices. So I can make this collaboration link available to my team, or it can be available to anyone that has the link. So because you're all outside of my team, I made sure that this particular whiteboard was set on anyone with a link, but you can make those options. And then you're going to notice over to the right that I have options to make this link view only comment only, or edit. We want it to be on edit because that is what is going to allow everybody to be able to edit and add to this whiteboard. So once I've made those choices, I simply copy the link and now it's shareable. So however you are sharing links with students, whatever learning management system or platform you're using, you can now share that link and everybody will be able to have access to it. You can have up to 50 people in a whiteboard at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set my timer here, and I'll set it for 1 minute. And I'll have you share your ideas. So right now we're on executive functioning, so you can share your ideas up here. I'm going to move this down here. Go. And then we'll be adding to this as we go along. Now, because this is an infinite space, if we run out of room, that's okay. You can go off the edges. That is no problem. And that's one of the things I love about whiteboards. You never run out of room. Even though I've kind of created a frame here, I can expand that frame in any direction and make more space. Oop, I might want to start the timer. I'm loving the ideas. A daily routine chart. Yes. For my students to do their learning journal. Some great ideas for SSO group. I love it. A digital yarning circle. I am curious about that. That is that's new for me. Fantastic. A visual learning journal with photos of work. Yes. ICT training, all great ideas. Fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for sharing those. That is amazing. I love, too, when we can collaborate in this way. Maybe one idea that someone places on the whiteboard is going to spark another idea for someone else, which I really love as well. Notice that when I click on any one of these sticky notes or sticky notes, I can click on a plus sign and it's going to add another sticky note right next to it. So know that if you wanted to follow up with an idea and add another sticky note, you are able to do that as well. Okay, so we are going to move on to activating prior knowledge in Canva. And there are lots of different ways to do this. A KWL chart is, I know, one of the tools that I used in my classroom. And I know a lot of teachers at different levels in our schools use this. And if you search for KWL in the Canva template library, you're going to find lots of variations. And again, everything is editable. So you can find one that's maybe similar to what you want, and then you can make changes to color, fonts, add things, add graphics, anything that you want. And so this is a really great way for students to monitor their academic progress. They can use it in any grade level, any lesson really. You can use a KWL chart to be able to have students share what they already know, what they want to know, and what they have learned. So think about bringing a template like this into a whiteboard. And now you give your students maybe 2 minutes to be able to share what they, what they already know, what they want to know, and then maybe you come back and share what they have learned. And so a great way for students to use Canva for learning and to activate that prior knowledge. Brainstorming is a great thing to do in Canva. This is a great way for you to, again, use the whiteboards that we were just in. And this is a way that students can make those connections. They can think critically about issues and potential solutions and share them with others. And it really gives students a way for them to be able to express themselves. In the Canva library, there are lots of templates. One of the things that you can do is you can search in the Canva template library brainstorm presentation, and then know that any page within a presentation can expand to a whiteboard. So for example, I'm in here on my presentation. When I click, I'm on page 29. If you look at the bottom of the screen, when I click on those 3 little dots, I can expand this to a whiteboard. So now this page that was a page of a presentation is now a whiteboard for collaboration. So maybe in class you are giving a presentation, and when you get to slide 29, you want to now bring your students in to a whiteboard to collaborate. You're going to be able to do that. Another little tip is that if you're worried about bringing them into this presentation because you don't want them to change things, every single page in your presentation can be locked. So students cannot change the content or move anything. So it's a great tip. If you wanted to bring that whiteboard into a presentation, locking the pages is kind of a great way to be able to do that. Also, mind maps. And this is a really great way to get your students to visually present ideas. There are lots of different types of mind maps. So depending on your subject area, your grade level, you'll find a mind map that really might fit what your needs are for the learning. And there's some really, I think, just great variations. And again, everything's editable. So if it's not exactly what you want, you can go ahead and change that. Mind map is the keyword that you want to put in the template library search when you're looking for those templates. I love this one. I think about how in any subject area, really any grade level, if you went in and you added a photo to a whiteboard, then you can ask a question such as, what does this image encourage us to think about? Or maybe, what is the main idea of this image? Or what emotions or feelings does this image evoke? And so now you're able to really encourage students to think and be able to maybe promote discussion in your class about a certain topic area. This would be a great thing to do maybe as an opener to a lesson or a topic that you are going to be talking about. Maybe you have this as an opener every day when students come into class. You have a photo in a whiteboard and they're all adding to it and sharing their thoughts about what that particular image evokes. And so I think this visual analysis is a really powerful way to get your students thinking and get your students collaborating. So we are going to pause there again, and I'm going to have you go back to our whiteboard. And I want you to now think about that activating prior knowledge, whether it's a mind map, brainstorming, the KWL chart, that visual analysis. Think about your own content area, your grade level, what you teach, and think about some things that you're already doing and how maybe you can make that connection to Canva and bring a lesson that you already do and maybe change it or shift it a little bit. So now you're bringing students in to Canva and giving them that opportunity to create and to collaborate. So go ahead and add your sticky notes to the board.
Tisha, we've just got a couple of people that are having difficulty finding where the sticky notes are. Can you take us through that one more time? Thank you.
Absolutely. So I am on my whiteboard. You're going to notice this is our sidebar right here on the left-hand side. The second icon down is elements. And this is where you're going to find your sticky note. So when I click, I'm going to click out and click back in. So I click on elements and I find them right here. And so any color that I click on, it is going to drop that sticky note into my whiteboard. So that is how you find it. One kind of fun thing for those of you who just want to add some variety, you can see that this sticky note that I am on is blue. If I go up to my color up on top, I can actually make this any color I want, and I can even add a gradient color. So if I wanted to create let's see, a gradient with red and blue, now my sticky note is a red and blue gradient. So just kind of a fun way to add your own personality and pizzazz to your whiteboard for those of you who want to take it to the next level. Fantastic. I'm going to read some of these because I think they're great. If we read a library book, we can ask students to add an emoji to show if they liked the book. I love that. Social communication for students, a daily schedule displayed, morning circle with routine. Start a new unit of inquiry, also to have a provocation on the board in the morning for students to respond to. Use visuals for what you know charts. Think, pair, share, brainstorms, conversation, and notes. Love all of those ideas. It's fantastic. Okay.
We've got another question just around moving sticky notes. Tisha?
Yes. So if you click on any of the sticky notes, so I'm just going to bring a new sticky note in so I don't move anybody else's. So here's my sticky note on the bottom of my board. I simply click on it and drag it with my mouse, and I can move it anywhere that I want. Is that the question that was asked? Did I answer that? If I didn't answer your question,
hopefully, yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully that's answered it for Pam.
Okay, perfect. I also want to show you before I move on that you can, this is kind of a cool trick. If you see me up here on the top of this purple bar where you can see all of our icons, if you click on mine, you can follow me, and that way anything that I zoom into on the screen, the students are going to be able to see. So I can see that Abigail is following me. I can see we have a couple now. Now I want you to see what happens. For those of you who are following me and you're looking at my screen, see how I can zoom in to these comments and your screen is showing what I see. So you're moving around the whiteboard with me. So you have to be looking at the presentation screen that I have. But you can see how if you wanted to be able to talk through things with students, you could have them all follow you. And then what you can do when you're done talking is I can then release you. And it looks like I don't have anyone following me anymore. But if you wanted to do that, there we go. I have a couple people. So when I'm done showing my students what I want to show them, I can simply click release all, and now everybody is released. And so now you can navigate on the whiteboard yourself. So kind of a cool trick when you want to do some teaching before you have your students brainstorming. Okay, we are going to move on to the next slide, which is how to capture student learning.
Sorry, Tisha.
Yes.
Just Pam did want to clarify. She said, how do I move my sticky note from my Canva to Tisha's? So perhaps, Pam, she might have another Canva open. I'm not sure. Maybe we can look at that after the session, Pam, or Phil. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe everybody should be on. Yeah, I'm not sure that I understand, but I'm happy to try to answer, Pam, if you want to add further clarification. So capturing student learning in Canva, I mentioned before the digital notebooks and how you can bring in those executive functioning pages to your digital notebook. There are lots of ways that notebooks can be used in class. I was working with a 6th grade teacher in our district, and she was having students write journals, and she was having them write journals in a spiral notebook, and she had crates and crates of spiral notebooks, and they were cumbersome for her to have to move around. She was taking them home, and her students weren't really enjoying the process very much. And so I had thought, well, maybe change things up and see about having your student create a writing journal in Canva and have them do their writing there. And then they can personalize their digital notebooks. You're not having to carry them around, and it will be a little bit less cumbersome. And she started doing that with her students, and they were so much more excited to write in their journals when they were able to bring it into Canva. So just some ideas, thinking about what you do and how maybe you could bring that into Canva in a digital way. And you can see on the bottom here, there are some different types of filters and search terms that you can put in the Canva template library to be able to find exactly what type of digital notebook that you are looking for. For any of you who use flashcards or have students use flashcards, you're going to find in Canva that there are lots of wonderful flashcard templates that you can create, but your students can create too. So maybe they can create flashcards to help them practice their vocabulary, whatever it is that they are wanting to be able to review. In my classroom, I gamified my classroom and I gave my students badges for earning certain things. I created my badges in Canva using the flashcard template, and then I printed those out. I laminated them and cut them out, and then I had these reusable badges that I could use in class. You could do the same thing with flashcards, and really, Canva makes these flashcards so visually engaging because of all of the vast array of graphics and photos that are in that photo library. So if you go into the Canva template library and type in flashcards, you're going to find lots of templates that can be customized based on what you need. I love also the idea of graphic organizers and being able to keep students on task with their ideas, really being able to do things like compare and contrast, maybe organize their writing, problem versus solution. And again, in Canva, you're going to find these graphic organizers in the template library. I also want to show you a quick little trick. When I go to my home page and I go to Design Spotlight, so I'm on my home page in Canva, Design Spotlight, and I scroll down to Graphs and Charts. When I click that, you can actually create a, I'm just going to type in ice cream. I can create a graph, and it's going to ask me, do I know what graph I need, or do you want me to have Canva help choose? So I want Canva to help me choose. Now I can decide on what kind of a graph I want to show. So maybe I want to look at ideas for graphic organizers and thinking maps. It's going to give me all the different types of graphic organizers that Canva has. And then I can look and find the graphic organizer that's going to be best for what I want to teach or have my students learn. And then I can go ahead and I can click on, so let's say I want a Venn diagram. Now it's going to give me some different options of different templates for a Venn diagram. And so when I find one that I like, I can simply click on it, and it's going to bring me right into that design where I can go ahead and change it and make it my own. So fun little tip if you want to create graphs and be able to really isolate your search. That's a great way to do it.
We've got another question.
Yes.
So this one is, I think, related to if individual students were creating their own notebooks and using their own templates, how would the teacher go in and see the work that the students have done?
It's a really great question. There's a number of different ways to do that. Remind me, Abigail, of what learning management system is most used in your area?
We have two, so Google Workspace or Microsoft Teams, okay. and then there's a few specific ones. Sure. I don't know. Yeah.
Sure. So there actually are solutions for each of those platforms. When you go into your share menu and you scroll down here to more, you're going to find that there are ways that you can create a Google Classroom assignment. So you could have, basically what it will do is it will walk you through and have you, it'll create a template link that students can turn back into. And there also is a Microsoft Teams one. Here it is, Microsoft Teams. So you also can connect to your Microsoft Teams and create a workflow that way. So those are those two ways that you can do it. Also, there is a method for actually creating an assignment in Canva if you did not have another type of LMS that you used. And so I'm just going to simply type in assignment. And then what I can do is I can, I'm going to use Canva for that. It's going to ask me, do I want to create a new design for each student? I can give instructions here. And now you can create your assignment in Canva, and then that will all get turned into you in classwork in Canva. And so when I go back here to my home page, get out of my graphic. So when I go home, you're going to find your classwork right here on your home screen in this column. So really it's a matter of finding, there is a solution for all the different workflows. You just have to find the best fit for your scenario. And I always recommend that whatever workflow you are currently using with the learning management system, that's always the one that I would go to first. So for instance, if you are using Microsoft Teams, and your students know Microsoft Teams, I would continue to use Microsoft Teams for your Canva workflow. If you're using Google Classroom and you have a method for that, continue to use Google Classroom for your Canva workflow. It's what is going to be best for you and how you manage your work in your class.
If they don't have one of those and they were opting for Canva, they'd have to add students first, would they?
Yes. So what you would want to do is you would want to create a group in Canva. So you can create groups right down here. And group and class are synonymous in Canva. So when I say create a group, you're creating a class. And so then when you are creating that assignment, you're going to be able to create that assignment for that group, and it will go to everybody in that group.
Thanks, Tisha.
You're welcome. These are great questions. All right, we're going to get back to my presentation here. And so we have, let me see where I left off. We talked about graphic organizers. We've talked about, I think this is where I left off, the 3-2-1s. So this is another great way to capture student learning in Canva by having them share two things that they find interesting and one question that students might still have. And this is a great exit ticket in a class, a great way to close out class. It's a great framework for tracking students' understanding, for having students synthesize their learning. So this, again, you're going to be able to find in the Canva template library. There also, if you go into this presentation, you'll get the links to this presentation as well. There is a template here that you can use, but I use 3-2-1s in my classroom, and I love that you can find one in Canva and customize it and make it exactly the way you want. I think it's a powerful way to connect students to learning. So again, we will go back to our whiteboard or our whiteboard collaboration, and I will have you continue to add your thoughts. So as we talked about capturing student learning, what are some things that really resonated to you, and how could you connect that to your content? Whether that is a graphic organizer, maybe it's the 3-2-1 idea, anything that specifically really stood out to you. And again, I think what's really powerful about you sharing your ideas and your thoughts or your questions is that it is going to generate ideas and thoughts and questions from others. And sometimes our mind isn't even going in a certain direction. And then we see something that someone else wrote and we're like, oh my goodness, can't believe I didn't think of that. And now all of a sudden I've connected it to my own content and I'm able to carry that idea out in a different direction. I'm going to just give 1 minute for this. Sharing. And if you could also add your whiteboard graphics to this if you would like to, of ideas that specifically stand out to you that you really like, that you would like to use in your classroom. If you have a question, you are welcome to add a question mark and maybe add a comment that maybe connect another idea to it so that you can ask somebody a question about an idea. Wonderful. I'm going to share another really quick tip is if you ever get lost in your whiteboard, because sometimes when we can go in infinite directions, we forget where home is, if I go down to my Zoom on the very bottom of my screen and I click fit, it's going to pop it right back to the starting place. So if you ever get lost, go to Zoom and click fit, and it's going to pop you right back where you need to be. All right. This is my favorite, I think. I love giving students the opportunity to demonstrate their learning in a way that makes sense to them, because we all learn differently, and we all like to express our learning in different ways. And so when we empower our students to demonstrate in a way that makes sense to them, that learning is going to be so much more impactful. I love this idea that was shared out on social media by Nicholas Ferroni, and it's the idea of having students use a resume to be able to share out what they've learned about maybe a historical figure in social studies, maybe a character in a novel that you're reading. Maybe it is a notable person within your content area, maybe a scientist, maybe an artist if you're teaching art. And what I really love about this idea is it is allowing students to really synthesize their learning and really be able to give those most important facts or details in the form of a resume. But what I also really love about this idea is that it's teaching students how to write a resume, right? So now not only are they demonstrating their learning in this format, they also are learning resume writing skills. So when they're ready to write their own resumes, they're already going to be familiar with how to do that. And so I think that this is a really powerful idea that can be used across a lot of different grade levels. And there's lots of resume templates in Canva. I also love the idea of an infographic, and this is also something that can be shared across the educational spectrum to show what you know. And I think another thing that's really important about this idea is it really builds students' visual literacy and really helps them to really synthesize learning again and be able to really think about how to visually communicate that information in a very intentional way. It also allows you to be able to show like a skill or like a steps to a method, a skill, also being able to maybe bring in data. If it's from science or from math, they're able to bring that in and visually communicate that in this infographic format. So here are a couple different ideas of how you can use those infographics. You can find an infographic template you like and share that with students so they all have the same starting point. Or as students become more familiar with Canva, you can have them search for their own infographic template and they can choose the one that is going to work best for them. I also love this idea of a magazine. Have students curate and craft their own magazine. And this is an example here that was showed on social media about how they were creating magazine covers for their planet research. Look at how happy those kids are to be able to create that magazine cover. And I think sometimes when we frame learning in a fun way they can get excited about, students are going, first of all, to remember that learning so much more. And also it's going to empower them to really be able to share their own voice. And you can also do voiceovers with the present and record feature. So maybe you have them create the infographic and then you have them present and record to be able to talk about it. And so that really can bring those magazines to life. I also love the idea of a podcast. We had some teachers in our district that paired students up. So they were in partners and they were doing book reviews. And so they wrote out a script for their book review. And then they went in to present and record, and they recorded a podcast and talking about, I give this book 5 stars because, and they would go into why they gave this book 5 stars. And they had to think about how they were going to split up the talking. So one person would talk and then another person would talk. And they had so much fun with it that they asked the teacher when they could record their next podcast. And so I think, again, we're teaching them some really important skills, but we're also giving them a chance to share their voice in a really creative way. You can also partner with some of third-party partnerships like Soundtrap and be able to really take that podcasting to the next level. So I love this idea of having our students share their voice in podcast form. Across subject areas, you can have your students use explainer videos to show what they know and to be able to explain concepts, be able to explain methods, skills. When I was teaching culinary arts, to be able to explain a method to a recipe was something that they would do, and they really loved it, and they became better and better at it as I gave them practice doing it. Also, something to remember is that our students speak in video language. They are on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they are on YouTube. And so they're consuming information in this format, and they are creating information in this format outside of our classrooms. So how can we bring something like videos into our classroom to really help our students be able to express themselves and, again, speak in that language that they already love? This book trailer idea is a great way to bring that joy back into reading rather than doing like a typical book report. And so this is a way for students to be able to synthesize and be able to summarize what they've learned, and then be able to bring in those pictures, those objects, those music clips. They can create kind of an audio book trailer, and how fun for kids. And then they can also create a QR code for their book trailer. So if you have a family night or a way for them to showcase those, your families could scan those QR codes and it would lead to their students' book trailers. So really fun ideas that students can get really excited about. Even having them create a timeline. This can be done in Canva as well. And this would be a great use of that whiteboard feature as well. And then having students create portfolios. And this can be done in a website form. It can be done in a presentation form. There's lots of different design types that this can work with. But if you search student portfolio, you're going to have some different options. And this is a great way for students to document that learning throughout the year. You can even find fun things like game presentations in Canva, this or that. They all have directions to them so that it not only gives you the template, but it shares with you how to play them. And I think if you go through those game presentations, you're going to find and think of new ideas that maybe you hadn't thought of before. And then you can iterate those game presentations and make them your own. I'm going to skip this piece for now just because of time. And I'm going to go through our last part, which is reflection. And then I'll give you some time at the very end to be able to finish up your thoughts. So for reflection, we can really get our students to think about that social emotional learning, think about how they are able to just improve their own well-being. And so templates like gratitude reflection, things that they're grateful for, having students share on a sticky note a few words about a time when someone was kind to them and how it made them feel. I think these are great ways that we can bring that sense of well-being into the classroom. And you'll find lots of different templates for that. Well-being is a great search term if you are looking for those things. And just really even reflecting on learning. So maybe having students do a learning reflection of what they learned, maybe setting goals for the next day. This is, again, another thing that they can do in a whiteboard, or they might want to have their own personal reflections that they do in their own personal template, and then they could share with you or not share with you, whatever you wanted them to do in class. And these personal reflection templates are also a great way for students to reflect and be able to share and record their progress. So I'm going to give you one last minute to add to this board. This is also a great time if you have questions. Add your questions to the whiteboard as well. Maybe what I'll have you do, if you have questions, if you want to add them down here to the bottom, you can also add them to the chat. And I just want to make sure that as you're thinking about these ideas and you have wonderings, that you get those questions answered, or I'll do my best to answer them.
Tisha, we've just got another couple of questions in the chat. Sure. So I think the first one is, so Pam said, if students create their own infograph in Canva, can they be added to mine to create a class Canva? So I think that's where they might export it into one whiteboard after they've already created it, hopefully.
Yes. I love this question because you have a couple ways you can do this. Again, you can use that learning management system where students turn it into you. But one thing about them turning it into you, no one else gets to see it, right? And I find that when students get really excited about creating in Canva, they want to show it to others. And so what you can do is you can create a gallery in a Canva whiteboard. So if I was to, I'm just going to create another page here on the bottom of my screen. Oh, my little sharing screen button is in the way. Oh, there it is. Okay. So if I created this whiteboard, and I'm not going to be able, there it goes. Okay. And I'm going to expand it to whiteboard. So now I could create a gallery, and I can simply just make a big box here if I wanted to create a little border for my gallery. And then what you can do is you can go in. So let's say I go to my presentation and I want to share this presentation in my gallery. I'm going to go up to share, and I'm going to click on view only link. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this whiteboard, and I am going to paste. Oh, it's not going to do it this time. Once in a while, it does this to me. What you should be able to do, and you all can try it if you would like to, you should be able to go into that link. And let me try this one. Click view only link, copy. And go back. I have too many things open. Which one is it? Here it is. And click. Nope, it's not doing it. Typically, what will happen when you click paste is it will actually embed that particular design that you created. And then you will have a whole gallery of everybody's creations. And so that's a great way for people to share what they've created so all the students are able to view that. So it's funny, not funny to me, but in the moment. But what's funny is that it's never happened to me when I'm not in a presentation, but once in a while when I'm in a presentation and doing a session, it will paste the link instead of the embed. But 9 times out of 10, it will paste the right embed into your whiteboard. Okay, we are going to move on because we only have a few minutes left, but I have only covered 1%. There is so many more ideas that you can bring into student learning. And what I love about student learning in Canva is that you are getting your students creating and collaborating, and that is really, really powerful. You'll find that Canva has so much more to offer that I haven't even had a chance to share with you. And so what I would encourage you to do is I would encourage you to search the template library for different templates that Canva has to offer. I'm also going to follow up with resources where you're going to be able to find lots of tutorial videos, lots of ideas that you can bring into the classroom. Our design school is fabulous, and they're continuously creating content to be able to share with educators. If you go into this presentation and click this button on the bottom, it's going to lead you to the tutorials, the design playbook, student resources, and a lot more. And then also you're going to be able to click here for resources on how to learn more about those learning management systems and how to create that workflow for you, no matter what workflow that you have, whether that's Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, or you want to use the workflow in Canvas. And know that we are on social media. We just launched our @CanvaEDU handle on Twitter once again, and the hashtags CanvaEDU, Canva Love, and Canva Tips are all great hashtags to follow to get lots of ideas from educators around the world that are using Canva for education in really powerful ways. And you're going to see lots of great things that people are sharing all of the time. I'm always inspired by what the community is sharing. If you are on Facebook, there is an amazing teacher community that you can sign up. There's over 60,000 educators from around the world who join in this community and are sharing their ideas and sharing their learning in Canva. So if you are in Facebook, definitely jump into that teacher community. And we have exciting news. We are going to be launching the Canva Champion program in South Australia. And Abigail is going to be sharing a link to sign up and register for those Train the Trainer sessions. There's going to be 3 of them. We are going to have session 1, which is the student learner journey. And we're going to concentrate on executive functioning and activating prior knowledge at a deeper level. Then we're going to do a midterm check-in. And so we are going to have a time for you just to have a conversation and to be able to connect and collaborate with each other and with me. And then we also are going to have a second trainer session that is going to focus on the capturing and the demonstrating. So going deeper than what we shared tonight and talking a little bit more about ways that we can capture and demonstrate learning for students in the classroom. And you can see the times and dates of those sessions there. So I would love for you all to register and be a part of that. I'm really excited about it. And Abigail, I just want to thank you again for welcoming me and moderating. That was so helpful to have you moderating the chat. Thank you so much. And thanks everybody for joining in tonight.
Thank you, Tisha. I think that was another very valuable session for everyone. Just reading some of those comments. So we do appreciate you staying up late to run these sessions for us. And I have popped the link in the chat to register on Flink for that Train the Trainer Canva Champion session coming up next term. Just note that we would like you to attend all 3 sessions if possible. So that would be great if we see some of you there.
That would be wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thanks, Abigail.
Thanks, Tisha.
Bye-bye.